the smell of fresh coffee and printer toner. It's a scent I usually love, the perfume of productivity, of a day about to be conquered. But this morning, it churns in my stomach, a bitter counterpoint to the anticipation thrumming through me. I watch them file into the Microsoft conference room, one by one, for their performance reviews. Brittany, then Jake, then Connor. My childhood bullies. Their eyes, when they finally lift them from their tablets and meet mine, widen. Not in greeting, in dawning, horrified recognition. Again, it's a small, almost imperceptible flicker for Brittany, quickly masked by a brittle smile. Jake, ever the jock, puffs out his chest a little, a sad echo of his former playground dominance. Connor just goes pale, his Adam's apple bobbing like a buoy in a storm. I let the silence stretch, the only sounds the rustle of their uncomfortable shifting in the plush chairs, the distant hum of the building's climate control. The air in here is always a little too cold, a little too sterile, perfect for a reckoning. My name is Maya Chen, and I'm their new department head. The nameplate on the polished mahogany table in front of me gleams. Maya Chen, Director of Innovative Solutions. It's a long way from Maya Chen, the weird girl who eats lunch alone. A long way from the hushed snickers and the pointed whispers. A long way from Brittany's saccharine voice, dripping with false concern as Jake and Connor flanked her, saying, "Oh, Maya, honey, you're too weird for success, you know?" That particular gem, it's echoed in my head for years, a perverse mantra. Too weird for success. The memory of it, sharp and sudden, slices through the professional calm I've cultivated. For a moment, I'm back in that linoleum-tiled hallway, the smell of stale pizza and cheap floor wax assaulting my nostrils. I feel the sting of tears I refuse to shed. A surge of something hot and potent, something like triumph, but darker, more complicated, washes through me. It's quickly followed by the cool hand of professional duty. I'm here to do a job. These are my employees. Their performance, or lack thereof, is my responsibility. But the personal satisfaction? That's a delicious, unexpected bonus. Brittany's fingers drum a frantic rhythm on the table. She's clutching her pen so tightly her knuckles are white. Her carefully applied lipstick doesn't quite hide the nervous tremor at the corner of her mouth. Jake attempts a confident smirk, but it doesn't reach his eyes. They're darting around the room, anywhere but at me. Connor looks like he might actually throw up. He keeps swallowing hard. I pick up the first file. Brittany's. The paper feels cool and smooth beneath my fingertips. I flip it open, my expression carefully neutral. My quiet power move. I don't need to shout or gloat or remind them of who I am, of who they were. They know. The weight of that knowledge is pressing down on them, suffocating. I can see it in the slump of their shoulders, the tightness around their mouths. "Thank you all for coming in," I say, my voice even, calm. The sound of it seems to startle them. "I've been reviewing your recent performance metrics." I pause, letting my gaze drift over each of them. And I've noticed some interesting patterns. Brittany visibly flinches. Jake's forced confidence deflates like a punctured tire. Connor actually whimpers, a tiny, pathetic sound. "We'll need to discuss these individually, of course," I continue, my tone pleasantly businesslike. "Brittany, let's start with you. My assistant will schedule a time for us to meet this afternoon. Jake, Connor, we'll talk tomorrow." I offer them a small, polite smile. The kind of smile that doesn't reach your eyes. The kind of smile that says, "I'm in charge now." The coffee in my mug has gone cold, but the air in the room crackles with a heat all its own. The reckoning has begun. The smell of the middle school computer lab, that unique blend of dusty electronics, warm plastic, and Mrs. Patterson's rose-scented air freshener, is a scent I can conjure on command. It was my sanctuary. While Brittany was being crowned unofficial queen of the 8th grade, her reign built on a foundation of perfectly applied lip gloss and cutting remarks, I was lost in the clicking symphony of old keyboards, the glow of CRT monitors my guiding light. Jake was busy perfecting his swagger, terrorizing smaller kids in the hallways, and Connor was usually trailing in Jake's wake, a nervous shadow, occasionally offering a half-hearted taunt that lacked Jake's conviction. They called me weird. It was their favorite adjective for me, Maya the weirdo. Maya who read programming manuals during lunch instead of gossiping. Maya who preferred the logical embrace of code to the chaotic, unpredictable world of adolescent social hierarchies. The incident, the one where Brittany delivered her now infamous too weird for success verdict, happened by the rusty bike racks after school. I just won the district coding competition, a fact that was apparently both baffling and offensive to them. My trophy, a small, unimpressive plastic thing, was clutched in my hand. "What's that, Chen?" Jake had sneered, snatching it from me. He tossed it to Connor, who fumbled it. Brittany stepped forward, her smile a weapon. "Oh, Maya, honey," she'd cooed, her voice dripping with that false, syrupy concern. "Another little computer thing? You know, no one actually cares about that stuff. You're too weird for success, you know?" Her eyes, cold and calculating even then, flicked over me dismissively. Jake and Connor snickered, the sound like dry leaves skittering across pavement. Something in me didn't shatter that day. It ignited. A cold, hard flame of determination. Too weird for success? I'd show them. I'd show them all. While they were navigating the treacherous waters of high school parties and prom dates, I was diving deeper into the intricate beauty of algorithms and data structures. My unique thinking patterns, the very thing they mocked, became my superpower. I could see connections others missed, solve problems in ways that seemed counterintuitive but were ultimately more elegant, more efficient. My only real ally back then was Mrs. Patterson. Her hair was a cloud of silver, her glasses always perched on the end of her nose. She saw something in me, something beyond the awkward, socially inept kid. She gave me access to the lab after hours, slipped me advanced programming books, and always, always encouraged my weird ideas. "Don't let them dull your shine, Maya," she'd say, her voice a comforting rumble. "The world needs more people who think differently." The bullying, the constant, low-level hum of their disdain, eventually became too much. My parents, bless their supportive hearts, saw the toll it was taking. We moved, a new town, a new school, a chance to reinvent myself. But I didn't want to reinvent myself. I wanted to be myself, unapologetically, and I wanted to prove them wrong. Before we left, though, I executed my first quiet power move, though I didn't call it that then. The school's ancient computer network had been plagued with problems for weeks, slow, unreliable, constantly crashing. The IT guy, a perpetually stressed man named Mr. Henderson, was overwhelmed. I'd spent weeks observing the system, analyzing its flaws in my head. One rainy Saturday when the school was deserted, I slipped into the computer lab. Mrs. Patterson had forgotten to lock the back door, and I fixed it. Not with a grand gesture, but with a few carefully crafted lines of code, a subtle rerouting of data pathways. On Monday, the system ran smoother than it ever had. No one knew it was me. Mr. Henderson probably thought it was a miracle. Mrs. Patterson just gave me a knowing wink. It was a small victory, a secret satisfaction, but it was mine. Now, sitting in my expansive Microsoft office, the Seattle skyline a glittering panorama outside my window, I remember that feeling. The quiet hum of my top-of-the-line workstation is a far cry from those clunky old-school PCs. I pull up Brittany's file again. The performance reviews need to be completed within 3 days. 3 days to dissect their professional lives, to hold their careers in my hands. The irony isn't lost on me. The girl who was too weird for success is now defining it for them. My assistant's voice crackles through the intercom. "Miss Chen, Brittany Miller is here for her meeting." I take a slow, deliberate sip of my now lukewarm coffee. Send her in. The game, it seems, is truly afoot. Brittany wafts into my office on a cloud of perfume so potent it almost makes my eyes water. It's something expensive, I'm sure, but it smells like desperation. She's dressed impeccably, a marketing coordinator trying too hard to look like an executive. Her smile is still brittle, stretched a little too wide across her face. "Maya, it's so great to finally connect properly," she gushes, her voice a shade too bright. She extends a hand, her nails perfectly manicured. I shake it, my grip firm, brief. Brittany, please sit. I gesture to the chair opposite my desk. It's a comfortable chair, but I doubt she'll find it so. She perches on the edge of it, her handbag clutched in her lap like a shield. The silence stretches again, punctuated only by the faint squeak of her chair as she fidgets. From the hallway, muffled sounds of office life drift in. The distant ring of a phone, the murmur of voices. So, I begin, my tone all business. Your performance review. As a marketing coordinator, your primary role involves project management and campaign execution. I've been looking over your recent projects. I see her swallow. Yes, of course. The Q3 initiatives were challenging, but ultimately successful, I think. I remember Brittany in middle school, not just the too weird for success comment, but 100 other smaller cruelties. The way she'd accidentally trip me in the hallway, sending my books flying. The way she'd lead the giggling chorus when I answered a question wrong in class. The expertly crafted rumors that painted me as some kind of social leper. She was a queen bee, and her sting was sharp. Let's look at the Synergy Plus campaign report, I say, tapping my pen on a specific document in her file. You've listed a 20% increase in engagement for this particular client. That's right, she says, a little too quickly. We were very pleased with those numbers. Interesting. I lean back in my chair, my gaze steady on hers. My quiet power move. No accusations, just a carefully placed observation. Because the raw data from the analytics team shows a 2% increase, a significant discrepancy, wouldn't you say? The color drains from Brittany's face. Her smile falters, then collapses entirely. I don't understand. There must be some mistake. The only mistake, Brittany, I say, my voice dropping a notch, softer but somehow more menacing, seems to be in your reporting. I slide a printout across the desk. The real numbers, highlighted in stark red. These figures suggest a pattern of embellishment, falsification even. Her eyes dart from the paper to my face, wide with panic. The expensive perfume suddenly seems cloying, suffocating. Maya, please, she begins, her voice trembling. It's not. It wasn't meant to be deceptive. It's just the pressure here is immense. Everyone is trying to look good. Looking good and being good are two different things, Brittany. I counter, my voice still quiet. She crumbles. The carefully constructed facade of the confident professional shatters, revealing the insecure, frightened person beneath. Tears well in her eyes, threatening to spill down her perfectly made-up cheeks. I've been so stressed, she confesses, her voice cracking. My numbers haven't been great. I was worried about this review, about you. She looks at me then, a flicker of the old Brittany, the one who knew how to manipulate. We were kids, Maya, stupid kids. I know I wasn't kind, but people change, don't they? She attempts a watery smile. Can't we just put the past behind us? Her attempt at fake friendliness, at leveraging a shared history that was anything but friendly for her, is almost laughable. My internal struggle is brief. The old Maya, the hurt, bullied Maya, wants to see her squirm, wants to see her pay for every sneer, every whispered insult. But the Maya I am now, the director, the woman who fought her way to this office, knows that revenge is a shallow victory. People can change, Brittany, I say slowly. The question is, have you? And are you willing to? She looks up, hope warring with fear in her eyes. What do you mean? I mean, I say, leaning forward, that falsifying reports is a serious offense. Grounds for dismissal, in fact. Her breath hitches. However, I continue, I also see someone who is clearly struggling. Someone who might, with the right guidance and a serious commitment to honesty, be able to turn things around. The relief that washes over her is palpable. Oh, Maya, thank you. I'll do anything, anything. You'll start by correcting these reports, every single one. And you'll work with Sarah in analytics to ensure complete transparency moving forward. You'll also attend a mandatory ethics workshop. And we will have weekly check-ins to monitor your progress. This is your only chance, Brittany. Don't waste it. She nods vigorously, tears now openly streaming down her face, smearing her mascara. I won't, I promise. Thank you. As she's gathering her composure, her handbag, her dignity, she pauses at the door. Maya? Yes? The others, Jake and Connor, they're worried too. About about something bigger than just their performance reviews. A little chill snakes down my spine. Bigger? What do you mean? Brittany just shakes her head, her eyes wide and fearful again. I I can't say, but be careful. And then she's gone, leaving behind the lingering scent of her perfume and a fresh wave of unease. Something bigger? My board presentation is tomorrow. What could be bigger than that? The code changed everything. It always did. In high school, after we moved, I wasn't Maya the weirdo anymore. I was still quiet, still preferred the company of my laptop to large groups, but I found a niche. The anonymity of online forums, the meritocracy of coding challenges, these were places where my weirdness, my ability to think outside the conventional boxes, was an asset. My breakthrough came when I was 16. I was obsessed with a particularly clunky scheduling app our school used. It was inefficient, buggy, a source of constant frustration. So, I built a better one. Sleeker, faster, with an intuitive interface. I released it for free on a few student forums. Within a month, it had gone viral. Not just in my school, but in dozens, then hundreds across the country. It wasn't about money, it was about the thrill of creation, the satisfaction of solving a problem elegantly. The heated plastic of my laptop on my thighs, the rhythmic click of the keys, the sound of rain lashing against my bedroom window as I coded late into the night, those were the sensory anchors of my ascent. College was MIT. Suddenly, being weird wasn't just accepted, it was celebrated. Surrounded by people who spoke my language, who shared my passion for the intricate dance of logic and creativity, I thrived. My dorm room, smelling faintly of stale pizza and the metallic tang of energy drinks, became a hub of innovation. I pulled all-nighters fueled by caffeine and ambition, my fingers flying across the keyboard, building, creating, pushing boundaries. My first internship was at a small, hungry tech startup. Then Google came knocking. Each step was a confirmation of validation. The "too weird for success" label felt like a distant, ridiculous joke. At Google, I was assigned to a flagging project, a new social integration feature that was over budget and behind schedule. The team was demoralized. I spent a week just observing, listening, a throwback to how I diagnosed my old school's network issues. Then, I rewrote a core algorithm, streamlined the data flow, proposed a completely different UI. Within 2 months, the project was back on track, generating buzz. That was the project that caught Microsoft's attention. They weren't just impressed by the technical solution. They were intrigued by my approach, my unconventional problem solving. The interview process was grueling, but I felt a sense of inevitability. This was where I was supposed to be. The offer letter, when it arrived, felt like a coronation. My rise through the ranks at Microsoft was swift. Senior engineer, lead developer, project manager, and now director of innovative solutions. Each promotion was a stepping stone, each success a quiet refutation of Brittany's long-ago prophecy. It was at a Microsoft tech conference that I met David. He was giving a presentation on quantum computing, his eyes shining with the same fervent passion I felt for AI. He was brilliant, intense, and, by mainstream standards, undeniably weird. We talked for hours that first night, the smooth, cool surface of the conference hall table, a witness to our burgeoning connection. He understood my drive, my quirks, the way my mind worked. He didn't just tolerate my weirdness, he loved it. He proposed a year later with a ring hidden inside a hollowed-out vintage microprocessor. It was around the time of my promotion to director that the realization hit me. I could hire almost anyone I wanted. My department was expanding. I had headcount. I had influence. A mischievous, almost reckless thought sparked in my mind. What if my strategic decision to recruit from my hometown wasn't born of nostalgia? It was more complicated. I didn't actively seek out Brittany, Jake, and Connor. Not at first. But when their resumes crossed my desk, Brittany's for a marketing role, Jake's for a junior developer position, Connor's for IT support, a plan began to form. A quiet power move on a grander scale than fixing a school network. I would bring them into my world, my domain. I would be the one to define their success or their failure. Was it revenge? Partly, I wouldn't deny that. But it was also a strange, twisted kind of curiosity. What had they become? Had they changed? Or were they still the same petty tyrants, just in adult clothing? Now, with my board presentation looming tomorrow, a presentation that could secure funding for my most ambitious AI project yet, a project that could redefine Microsoft's future. Brittany's cryptic warning echoes in my mind. Something bigger. What could they possibly be worried about that was bigger than their jobs? Bigger than me? The thought is a discordant note in the symphony of my success, a nagging static in the otherwise clear signal of my ascent. Jake strides into my office like he owns the place, all forced swagger and a cologne that smells like a desperate attempt to mask nervous sweat. He's bigger than I remember, his frame filling out the ill-fitting suit he's wearing. He plops down in the leather chair opposite me and it creaks in protest. Maya, he says, his voice a low rumble. He even tries a smirk. Long time no see. Heard you were climbing the ladder. Good for you. There's a faint sneer in his tone, the ghost of the old Jake, the one who used his size and a carefully cultivated air of menace to get what he wanted. Jake, I reply, my voice cool, even. Thanks for coming in. Let's talk about your performance as a junior developer. Yeah, about that, he says, leaning back, trying to project an air of casual indifference. Been meaning to talk to you. This team, it's not a great fit. The projects are dull. No real challenge for a guy like me. I remember Jake in middle school. Not just the taunts, but the physical intimidation. The way he'd accidentally shoulder check me into lockers. The time he cornered me in the gym, his face inches from mine, his breath smelling of stale chips, and threatened to break my glasses if I didn't stop being such a know-it-all. His physical presence was a weapon, and he wielded it with casual cruelty. No real challenge? I echo, raising an eyebrow. I tap the file on my desk. Your last 3 project sprints have missed their deadlines, Jake. Significantly. And the code quality reports? They're not pretty. I slide a printout across the desk, a damning litany of bugs, inefficiencies, and outright errors. This doesn't look like someone who's unchallenged. This looks like someone who's struggling. His face darkens. The casual facade crumbles. Look, those projects were messed up from the start. Bad specs, unrealistic timelines. Anyone would have struggled. He bristles, his defensiveness a palpable force in the room. There's even a hint of a subtle threat in his posture, the way he leans forward, his hands clenching into fists. Old habits, I see, die hard. Perhaps, I concede smoothly, but other members of your team with the same specs and timelines managed to deliver. Your lead has noted an attitude problem, a reluctance to take direction, a tendency to blame others for your own shortcomings. That's he starts, his voice rising. Is it? I cut him off, my voice still quiet, but with an edge of steel. My quiet power move. I let my gaze drift to another document in his file, his resume. You list proficiency in C++, Python, and Java. Impressive. You also claim a computer science degree from Stanford. He blinks, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Yeah, so? So, I say, my voice dropping, confidential, dangerous. I know for a fact, Jake, that you dropped out of community college after 2 semesters, and your coding skills, from what I've seen, are rudimentary at best. Your resume, Jake, is a work of fiction. The color drains from his face. The aggressive bluster evaporates, leaving behind a raw, gaping fear. He looks like a cornered animal. The distant sound of construction from a nearby site, a rhythmic thumping, seems to echo the sudden frantic beating of his heart. He knows. He knows I have him. How? He stammers, his voice barely a whisper. How did you... I'm the director of innovative solutions, Jake, I say, a hint of amusement in my voice. Information is my business. The fight goes out of him. He slumps in the chair, defeated. For the first time, I see something other than arrogance or aggression in his eyes. A grudging respect. Maybe even a sliver of fear. So what now? He mutters, staring at his hands. You gonna fire me? Humiliate me? Just like old times, huh? The old Maya, the one who still felt the phantom ache of his shoves, the sting of his ridicule, might have savored this moment. But again, the woman I've become, the leader, sees something else. Wasted potential. A chance, perhaps, for something unexpected. Humiliation is unproductive, Jake, I say. And frankly, I have better things to do with my time. I pause, letting him absorb that. What I see is someone who clearly wants to be a good developer, but lacks the foundational skills. Someone who took shortcuts because he was too proud or too scared to admit he needed help. He looks up, suspicion warring with a desperate hope on his face. I'm prepared to offer you a chance, I continue. A real one. Not based on lies, but on hard work. We have an internal mentorship program, intensive coding boot camps. If you're willing to start from the bottom, to actually learn, to put in the effort, there might be a place for you here, a real place. He stares at me, speechless. The offer is so far removed from what he expected, from what he probably felt he deserved, that he can't process it. Then the old Jake resurfaces, just for a moment. He scoffs, pushes himself up from the chair. I don't need your charity, Chen. He snarls, his face flushed. He turns, storms towards the door. I don't say anything, I just watch him go. He reaches the door, his hand on the knob. He hesitates. His shoulders slump. He turns back, his face a mask of conflicting emotions. Defeat, anger, and something else. A grudging, bewildered gratitude. Okay, he says, his voice rough. Okay, Chen, you win. I'll do it. And then he's gone, leaving me with the lingering scent of his cheap cologne and the satisfying echo of a bully, finally beginning to be humbled. The city lights outside my office window blur into a million glittering diamonds. I'm alone, the confrontations of the day replaying in my mind like a relentless loop. Brittany's tearful confession, Jake's grudging surrender. The hum of the building's air conditioning is a low, constant thrum, a counterpoint to the turmoil inside me. The leather of my executive chair feels cool against my skin. I take a sip of tea. It's lukewarm, tasteless. My phone buzzes, David. His picture on the screen, a goofy selfie from our last hiking trip, brings a small, genuine smile to my face. Hey, I answer, my voice softer than it's been all day. Hey you, long day? His voice is warm, familiar, a balm to my frayed nerves. You have no idea, I lean back staring at the ceiling. I had the reviews today, with them. A pause. He knows the whole story, of course. He's the one person I've been completely, unreservedly honest with. And? He prompts gently. How did it go? Did you get what you wanted? That's the question, isn't it? Did I? The satisfaction I'd anticipated, the clean, sharp taste of revenge? It's not there. Or rather, it is, but it's muddled, tainted with something else. Pity, responsibility, the weight of power. It was complicated, I say. Brittany faked reports. Jake lied on his resume. I recount the meetings, the breakdowns, the unexpected turns. And you offered them chances to redeem themselves. David sounds surprised, but not judgmental. That's generous, Maya, more than they deserved, maybe. Maybe, I concede. But watching them crumble, it wasn't the victory I thought it would be. It just felt sad. I remember my parents' faces beaming with pride the day I told them I got the job at Microsoft, their sacrifices, their unwavering belief in their weird daughter. Success, I'm realizing, has changed me. It's given me strength, confidence, a platform. But it's also given me a responsibility I'm only just beginning to understand. Using this power, this position, just to settle old scores, it feels small, unworthy of the journey it took to get here. Power can be a heavy thing, Maya, David says softly. What you do with it, that's what defines you, not what was done to you. His words resonate, a clear, clean note in the cacophony of my thoughts. But before I can reply, an email notification pings on my desktop. The subject line is stark. We're watching you, Maya Chen. My blood runs cold. I click it open. The message is brief, anonymous. Think you're so clever, playing God with people's lives? Your little vendetta against your old schoolmates hasn't gone unnoticed. Some of us know the truth. Tread carefully. David, I say, my voice tight. I have to go. Something's happened. I hang up, my heart hammering against my ribs. A threat? Here? At Microsoft? How could anyone know? My interactions with Brittany, Jake, and Connor were behind closed doors. My mind races. This isn't just about old bullies anymore. This is something new, something potentially dangerous. My quiet power move. I open my system diagnostics, my fingers flying across the keyboard, tracing the email's origin. It's heavily encrypted, routed through multiple proxies. But I'm good. Very good. Within minutes, I've bypassed their firewalls, peeled back the layers of obfuscation. The source IP. It's internal, within Microsoft. Someone inside this company knows my history. Someone is monitoring my actions. Someone is trying to intimidate me. A new kind of fear, cold and sharp, pierces through the lingering satisfaction of the day's confrontations. Brittany's warning echoes in my ears. Be careful! The city lights suddenly seem less like glittering diamonds and more like a million unblinking eyes, all focused on me. I'm not just the one in power anymore. I'm also a target. The game has just taken a much more dangerous turn. The IT support room is a hive of quiet activity. The constant hum of server fans a soothing white noise to most. But to me, it's the sound of potential vulnerabilities. Connor sits across from me at a cluttered workstation, looking even more miserable than he did in the conference room. His hair is disheveled, his eyes red-rimmed. He's clutching a stress ball, rhythmically squeezing and releasing it. The air smells faintly of antiseptic wipes and stale coffee. Connor, I begin, keeping my voice gentle. He flinches as if expecting an attack. Thank you for meeting me. I know this isn't easy. He just nods, his gaze fixed on the stress ball. His performance has been mediocre, not terrible enough for immediate dismissal, but lacking initiative, riddled with minor errors. He's a follower, always has been. The kind of person who gets swept along by stronger personalities, too afraid to stand up, too weak to walk away. I remember him in middle school, a peripheral figure in my torment. He rarely instigated the bullying, but he was always there, a silent, complicit observer. Sometimes I'd catch a flicker of something in his eyes. Guilt? Pity? I never knew. Once, after Jake had knocked my books from my hands, scattering them across the muddy ground, Connor had lingered behind. He'd looked like he wanted to say something, maybe even help. But then Brittany had called his name and he'd scurried off, leaving me to gather my soiled belongings alone. For years, I'd thought it was a secret crush that made him act that way, that brief hesitation. Connor, I say, my voice still soft. I received an anonymous email last night, a threat. I traced it. I pause, letting the implication hang in the air. The rhythmic vibration of multiple phones charging on a nearby desk seems to amplify the tension. He stops squeezing the stress ball. His head snaps up, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and something else. Resignation? It was you, wasn't it? I ask, not unkindly. He deflates. A long, shuddering sigh escapes him. Yes, he whispers, his voice hoarse. It was me. This I didn't expect. Brittany's warning, the sophistication of the threat, I'd imagined someone more cunning, more powerful, not Connor. Why, Connor? I ask, genuinely bewildered. Why would you do that? He finally meets my gaze, and what I see there isn't malice, but a profound, aching sadness. I was trying to protect you, he says, his voice barely audible. And them. And myself, I guess. Protect me? By threatening me? I didn't mean it as a threat, he insists, a flicker of desperate energy in his voice. Not really. I saw what was happening. You, bringing them all in, the reviews. I know what they did to you, Maya. I was there. I saw it, and I didn't do anything to stop it. His voice cracks, and he looks away, shame coloring his face. I've lived with that guilt for years. This is a Connor I've never seen, never even imagined. An emotional intelligence, a depth of remorse I wouldn't have thought him capable of. And when I saw you here, in this position of power, I was scared, he continues, his gaze returning to mine, earnest, pleading. Scared of what you might do. Scared for them, yes, even though they were awful, but also scared for you. Revenge. It changes people, Maya. It twists them. I didn't want to see that happen to you. He takes a ragged breath. I thought, if I sent that email, maybe you'd pause. Think. Realize that someone else knew the whole story, that it wasn't just your secret to control. He looks down at his hands again. It was stupid. I know. I'm not good at this stuff. I didn't know what else to do. He confesses then, in a torrent of raw, unfiltered emotion, his own struggles. His desperate need to belong, to be accepted, even by people like Jake and Brittany, his crushing insecurities, his fear of being seen as weird, just like they'd labeled me. He admits that his crush wasn't on me, but a desperate wish that someone, anyone, saw him as more than a sidekick. I listen, stunned into silence. My carefully constructed narrative of the past, my black and white memories of heroes and villains begins to crumble. Connor, the silent accomplice, was a victim too, in his own way, a victim of his own weakness, his own fear. My memories, I realize with a jolt, weren't entirely accurate. They were colored by my own pain, my own perspective. A wave of unexpected empathy washes over me. For this broken, remorseful man who, in his own clumsy, misguided way, was trying to do the right thing. Connor, I say, when he finally falls silent, exhausted. What you did, sending that email, was wrong and reckless, but I understand why you did it. My quiet power move, but this time it's different. It's not about dominance, but about connection. And I believe you. Relief, so profound it's almost painful to watch, floods his face. Tears well in his eyes. You do. I do. I pause. Your work here has been inconsistent, Connor, but I see potential. You have a good mind for systems. You understand the underlying logic. What you lack is confidence and direction. I lean forward. I'm putting together a new initiative, something that focuses on second chances, on mentorship. Would you be interested in being a part of that? A real part? Not just in IT support, but in cybersecurity. It's where your talents lie, I think. He stares at me, speechless, hope dawning in his eyes. Cybersecurity? He whispers, as if it's a word he's never dared to dream. If you're willing to work for it, I say. Hard. He nods vigorously, a single tear tracing a path down his cheek. Yes. Oh God, yes, Maya, thank you. Don't thank me yet, I say, a small smile playing on my lips. You'll earn it. I stand up. Now, about this situation, with Brittany and Jake, and with me, I need to handle this better, more ethically. Will you help me with that, Connor? Your perspective it's valuable. He looks up at me, his eyes shining with a newfound purpose. Anything, Maya, anything you need. As I leave the IT room, the hum of the servers seems less like a threat and more like a promise. A promise of new beginnings, for Connor, and maybe, just maybe for me too. The anemic glow of the fluorescent lights in the HR department does nothing to flatter the already drab meeting room. I sit across from Linda, the head of human resources, a woman whose expression seems permanently fixed at mildly concerned. The air smells of stale coffee and photocopier toner, a less inspiring version of my office's usual scent. Policy documents, thick and intimidating, are spread across the table between us. So, Linda says, peering at me over her glasses, you're saying you hired 3 individuals with whom you have a complicated personal history, and now you're conducting their performance reviews. That's correct, I say, keeping my voice even. Connor's confession has shaken me, forced me to re-examine everything, my motives, my actions, my carefully constructed revenge plot. And you're concerned about the ethical implications? Linda prompts. I am, I admit. I believe I've allowed my personal feelings to cloud my professional judgment. I want to rectify that. I recount the story, or at least the relevant parts. The bullying, the too weird for success comment, my decision to hire them. Not the anonymous email, that's an internal security matter now, and Connor is helping me deal with it discreetly. I focus on my own culpability, my dawning realization that what started as a quest for vindication had morphed into something murkier. Linda listens patiently, occasionally making notes on a yellow legal pad. When I'm finished, she sighs. Well, Maya, this is unusual. Hiring individuals you have a past conflict with, especially without disclosing it, is generally not advisable. It opens up the company and you to accusations of bias, harassment, or unfair treatment. I understand that now, I say. My initial intent, it wasn't malicious, or at least I didn't think it was. I think I genuinely wanted to see if they'd changed. If I'd changed. I flash back to the exact moment I'd approved their hires. I was sitting in my office late at night, the city lights a glittering tapestry below. Their resumes, flagged by the system due to their hometown matching mine, had appeared on my screen. A jolt of adrenaline, a wicked little thrill had shot through me. This is it, I'd thought. This is my chance. But now that thrill feels hollow. Success, I'm learning, isn't just about personal achievement. It's about what you do with the platform it gives you. It's about responsibility. A responsibility to lift others up, not to tear them down, even if those others once tried to tear you down. What I want to do now, I say, leaning forward, is to create a formal mentorship program, something that focuses on professional development, ethical conduct, and creating a supportive work environment. For Brittany, Jake, and Connor specifically, but also potentially as a pilot program for other employees who might be struggling or who might benefit from a second chance. Linda looks intrigued. A mentorship program born out of this? Strange origins, I know, I say with a wry smile. But I believe it could work. I believe I can make it work. I know what it's like to be underestimated, to be told you're not good enough. I also know what it's like to have someone believe in you. My mind drifts to Mrs. Patterson. After my meeting with HR, I video call her. She's retired now, living in a small cottage by the sea, her silver hair still a magnificent cloud. The static from the video call is a comforting hum, a connection to my past. Maya dear, she exclaims, her face lighting up the screen. What a wonderful surprise. I tell her everything, the job, the bullies, the tangled mess of my emotions. She listens patiently, her wise old eyes full of understanding. Oh, Maya, she says when I'm done, her voice a gentle rumble. You were always such a complex girl, full of fire and brilliance. This power you have now, it's a test. Revenge is a cold comfort, dear. It burns bright for a moment, but then it leaves you empty. Forgiveness. Growth. That's where the real warmth lies. She smiles. It sounds to me like you're already figuring that out. Her words, as always, cut through the noise, offering clarity, perspective. She's right. This isn't about them anymore. It's about me, about the kind of leader, the kind of person I want to be. My decision crystallizes. This mentorship program, this Second Chances initiative, as I'm starting to call it in my head, will be my focus. My quiet power move, transformed. Not a weapon of revenge, but a tool for redemption. For them. And for me. The board presentation is tomorrow. My original pitch, the ambitious AI project, is still important. But now it's intertwined with something else, something more human. Something that speaks not just to innovation, but to inclusivity, to the potential for growth in even the most unexpected places. The smell of whiteboard markers fills my office as I begin to sketch out the new framework, integrating the Second Chances initiative into my overall strategy. The ticking clock intensifies. I have less than 24 hours to reshape my entire presentation, to weave this new, fragile idea into a compelling vision for the future. A future where being too weird for success is not a condemnation, but an invitation. An invitation to prove everyone wrong, including yourself. The boardroom is imposing, all polished wood and gleaming chrome. The long table is filled with the stern, expectant faces of Microsoft's top executives. My heart is a frantic drum against my ribs, but my hands are steady as I click to the first slide of my presentation. The title, in bold, confident letters, Innovative Solutions and Inclusive Futures, the Second Chances Initiative. From the back of the room, I can see them. Brittany, Jake, and Connor. They're standing near the doorway, an awkward, self-conscious trio. Their presence here was my idea, a last-minute addition. If this is about second chances, they need to be a part of it, to witness it. I take a deep breath, the scent of freshly printed presentation materials a strangely comforting anchor. Good morning, I begin, my voice clear, resonant. Today, I'm here to talk about the future. Not just the future of technology, but the future of our workplace culture. A future where innovation is fueled not just by brilliance, but by empathy, by understanding, by the courage to offer and to accept second chances. I lay out my vision, the AI project, yes, with all its groundbreaking potential. But then I pivot. I talk about human potential, about the untapped talent that often lies dormant, overlooked, written off. I talk about creating a culture where failure is not a full stop, but a comma. A place where growth is not just encouraged, but actively nurtured. I don't name them, I don't recount the sordid details of our shared past. But I tell a story about being underestimated, about the sting of exclusion, about the quiet determination to prove the doubters wrong. I talk about the power of mentorship, the transformative impact of someone believing in you when you don't even believe in yourself. The board listens, their expressions shifting from polite interest to genuine engagement. I see nods. I see intrigued glances exchanged. This isn't just another tech pitch. This is something different. As I speak, I flash back to that final, humiliating moment in middle school. The end-of-year awards assembly. Brittany, of course, had won Most Popular. Jake, Best Athlete. Even Connor had gotten a participation trophy for something. I'd gotten nothing. Not even a nod for my coding competition win. I'd sat there, invisible. The laughter and applause, a dull roar in my ears, the too weird for success label branded on my soul. But sitting here now, in this seat of power, addressing these influential people, I realize something profound. Success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about becoming the person you were always meant to be, despite the obstacles, despite the naysayers. I conclude my presentation, my voice filled with a conviction that surprises even myself. The Second Chances Initiative, I say, is not just a program. It's a philosophy. It's an investment in our most valuable asset, our people. It's a commitment to building a Microsoft where everyone, regardless of their past, has the opportunity to contribute, to grow, to succeed. The room is silent for a moment. Then, the chairman starts to clap. Slowly at first, then with more enthusiasm. Others join in. Soon the boardroom is filled with the sound of applause. It's a warmer sound, a more genuine sound than the applause at that middle school assembly. The chairman smiles. Miss Chen, he says, his voice booming. That was inspiring, truly. The board is unanimously in favor of funding both your AI project and the Second Chances Initiative. And furthermore, he pauses, a twinkle in his eye, we've also unanimously approved your promotion. Congratulations, Miss Chen. You are now Microsoft's Vice President of Inclusive Innovation. A wave of dizziness washes over me. VP, it's more than I dared to hope for. I manage a shaky smile, a mumbled thank you. Then, my quiet power move, the one that truly matters. Thank you, sir, I say, my voice regaining its strength. I'm honored, and I'd like to publicly acknowledge that the inspiration for the Second Chances Initiative came from some of my own team members. Their willingness to confront past mistakes, to embrace the possibility of change, has been truly remarkable. Brittany, Jake, Connor, thank you. I meet their eyes, they're staring at me, stunned, disbelieving. Brittany's eyes are shining with unshed tears. Jake looks utterly floored. Connor is actually smiling, a small, genuine smile. Later, after the meeting has adjourned, after the handshakes and congratulations, they approach me, awkwardly, hesitantly. Maya, Brittany begins, her voice choked with emotion. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Brittany, I reply, my own voice surprisingly gentle. Just do good work. Be the person I know you can be. Jake shuffles his feet. Maya, thanks for not destroying me. Everyone deserves a chance to learn from their mistakes, Jake, I say. Even you. Connor just looks at me, his eyes full of a quiet, profound gratitude. You really are something else, Maya, he says softly. The dynamic has shifted, irrevocably. We're not bully and victim anymore. We're not even just boss and employees. We're something new, something undefined, something, perhaps, hopeful. The taste of success, I realize, is far sweeter when it's shared. 3 months later, the Seattle drizzle paints soft, impressionistic strokes against my office window. My new title, VP of Inclusive Innovation, still feels a little surreal, but the work, the purpose, feels more real, more grounded than anything I've ever done. The Second Chances initiative is in full swing, and the first cohort, Brittany, Jake, and Connor, are my star pupils, my reluctant pioneers. Brittany, under the firm but fair guidance of Sarah in analytics and a newfound commitment to brutal honesty, is transforming. Her marketing reports are now models of clarity and accuracy. She's even started mentoring a junior intern, her advice focused on ethical practices and transparent communication. The overwhelming perfume is gone, replaced by a quiet confidence that suits her far better. She's finding her strength, not in tearing others down, but in building them up. She's becoming a leader, an ethical one. Jake's journey has been rockier. The coding boot camps were a brutal awakening. There were moments of frustration, of wanting to quit, to revert to his old blustering ways. But he stuck with it. He's learning, really learning. He's even started asking questions in team meetings, admitting when he doesn't know something, a monumental step for him. The arrogance is still there, a faint shadow, but it's tempered now with a hard-won humility. He's discovering the quiet satisfaction of building something real, something that works, line by painstaking line of code. And Connor. Connor is flourishing. He's a natural in cybersecurity, his meticulous nature and ability to see patterns making him a rising star. He's taken to his new role with a quiet passion, his confidence growing daily. He even presented a security audit to a panel of senior engineers last week. His voice steady, his arguments clear and concise. He's no longer a follower, a shadow. He's finding his own light. This experience, this unexpected detour from my carefully plotted career path, has changed my leadership style profoundly. I'm more patient, more empathetic, more willing to see the potential for growth even in the most unpromising soil. The Second Chances initiative is having a ripple effect throughout the company. Other departments are taking notice, adopting similar mentorship models. We're creating a culture where vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength. Where redemption is not just a possibility, but a core value. Life outside of Microsoft is full too. David and I are deep in wedding planning, a chaotic but joyful process. We talk about the future, about starting a family, about the kind of world we want to build for our children, a world where weirdness is celebrated, where differences are cherished. One afternoon, standing in front of the mirror, adjusting the collar of my blouse before a keynote speech, it hits me. I've become the person I needed when I was a child. The person who would have seen that lonely, bullied girl in the computer lab and said, "Your mind is a gift. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." The thought brings a lump to my throat. The final piece of the puzzle clicks into place. A few weeks later, I find myself standing on the familiar, slightly creaky stage of my old middle school auditorium. The smell of floor wax and adolescent angst is a potent wave of nostalgia. I'm here as a guest speaker for their career day. My message to the sea of young, uncertain faces is simple. Embrace your weirdness. The things that make you different, the things that make you feel like an outsider, those are your superpowers. Don't let anyone dim your shine. The world needs your unique light. After my speech, I announce my final quiet power move, the one that brings everything full circle. I'm thrilled to announce the establishment of the 2 Weird for Success Scholarship, I say, my voice ringing with a joy that is pure, unadulterated. A scholarship for students who dare to think differently, who aren't afraid to challenge the status quo, who embrace their unique passions, no matter how weird they might seem to others. As the students applaud, my gaze falls on a young girl sitting alone in the back row. She's clutching a well-worn science fiction novel, her eyes wide, a little fearful, but with a spark of something fierce and familiar in them. I see myself in her, the old Maya, the one who needed a champion. After the assembly, as the students chatter and disperse, I make my way towards her. I crouch down, meeting her gaze. That's a great book, I say, nodding towards the novel. I loved that one when I was your age. A small, hesitant smile touches her lips. You. You did? Absolutely, I say. Never let anyone tell you that what you love is weird, or that you are. Your weirdness is what makes you wonderful. Her eyes shine. Thank you, she whispers. As the final school bell rings, its familiar clang echoing through the emptying hallways, a symbol of endings and new beginnings, I walk out of my old middle school, not as Maya Chen, the bullied outcast, or even as Maya Chen, the triumphant VP, but as Maya Chen, the woman who finally understands that true success isn't about proving others wrong or even about proving yourself right. It's about lifting others up. It's about using your light not to blind, but to illuminate the path for those still finding their way in the dark. The taste of that success, I realize, is the sweetest of all. It's the taste of being whole.